And I started off teaching abroad in many places. I did years in Malta, Istanbul, Germany, a bit of Canada, and I also did language school teaching here in Ireland as well. So that's my background, and I did teaching in language schools until about 2016, and then I which was quite early on, I suppose, for the teaching English online industry, but I did start teaching English online in 2015. And I will go into talk about that a bit more as we go on, but I initially did start working for a company. And then in 2017, I'm very happy to say that I opened my own small business online, which I still do to this very day. So then in 2018, I decided to get work with the TEFL Institute of Ireland, where I'm on the other end of TEFL courses, I suppose. So I was a teacher for many years, and now I'm providing the education and giving people the chance to experience what I experienced. And I still very much love the whole industry, and I suppose that's why I'm still here. I would still teach no matter how much of this end I get into it. I think I will always have that time and love for teaching. And I suppose, like everybody else, another big reason that we're all here is we all love to travel. And it's probably one of our main reasons why we've decided to go down this route or want to do things with it. So very, very happy to say this is like my party trick when everybody asks me something interesting about myself. I'm very happy to say that I've traveled to 51 countries around the world, and I've taught English in about 23 of them. So that's my go-to if somebody asks, can you tell me something interesting about yourself? I always use that one. So yeah, you can see, or you can, I suppose, it can be a career. A lot of people think that TEFL might be just something they do aside, or teaching English online might be something that they just do to supplement their main job, and it's not a real career essentially. But I can safely say that this can be your main source of income. It can be something you can build very well. It doesn't have to be just a thing on the side. Yeah, hi Tansila. How are you?
Hi.
So yeah, I'm gonna dive right into it now. And again, if there's any kind of questions, feel free to write them in the chat box and I'll answer them the best I can. Okay. So I'm going to start with saying, I suppose, run through what is teaching English online. I know it seems a bit basic, but I'm just going to run through it first so we all have a full understanding. So teaching English online is basically teaching non-native speakers over the internet through a camera, webcam, or some type of video platform. Lessons can be one-to-one, or they can be group classes depending on what kind of company you go for or what kind of lessons you want to take. As you know yourselves, last year has been very strange for all of us and definitely different times. But as we all know, the whole world has gone online now more than ever. Cities, schools. So it's an absolutely massive market at the moment, and it's only growing. And I think what people have recognized is that I think a lot of people aren't going to go back to the traditional way of studying. I think people are going to realize, oh wait, I don't need to drive 2 hours to college. Oh wait, I don't need to drive this much to go to a course. Everything is accessible online now, which I don't know is a good or a bad thing. For us, it's great because there's lots of money. So we have to keep looking at the positives there. In 2010, it was online learning was a $2 billion industry. Okay, that's 2010. We're now 2021. In 2015, it's a $108 billion industry. So it's projected in 2025 that it will be over $400 billion industry. And I actually think that's going to grow a lot more than expected with the last year, the way it's been and the way this year is going. Okay, so the next question that everybody is probably wondering is, am I qualified to teach English online? Why am I here? If I can't do it or I'm not qualified, then there is absolutely no point in me being here. So, contrary to what a lot of people think, is that you actually don't need a teaching degree or you don't need to have a background in education to be a teacher. If you are a fluent speaker and you have a TEFL certificate, you can teach online. So these are the two things that you need. You need to have a really good level, a fluent level of English, and you need to have a TEFL certificate. Okay. And I know everybody's saying, well, companies ask me to have a degree. Yes, that is true. A lot of companies do ask you to have a degree, but it's like any industry in the world. You can get these jobs without a degree. It might take you maybe a little more work or a little more to get the job, but it's very possible to get work without a degree. Okay. Which we went a bit more down the line. Other traits you might need to get a job in teaching English online or working online is to be and to have good energy, because having a good relationship or rapport with your students is half the battle. And I firmly agree with that. Okay. And I suppose the next thing I want to look into is the advantages of teaching online. Why should I do it over the traditional way of language school teaching? Now, obviously, at the minute, we don't have much of a choice. Seems to be our only option at the moment, but even looking far into the future, I think there's a lot of good reasons why we should look at teaching English online in comparison to maybe the standard way of teaching. So number one, and has always been number one for me, and I can see a lot of people here who have attended my virtual course as well, which I always say is you can teach from anywhere in the world, all right? As long as you have a laptop and a good Wi-Fi connection, that's all that matters. And that's all you need. And a story that I always tell, and again, it's a bit of my party trick, but there was literally one time when I was teaching in Fiji, in a beach hut, making money. And I was sitting there, I said, is this for real? I'm in Fiji making money in a beach hut, teaching online. So it is all very, very possible to teach from anywhere. And especially if you look at countries with kind of a lower cost of living than us, you know, it can make for a really, really good way to live and to travel around and everything like that. Another good reason or another good advantage is that you can work as many or as few hours as you like. Most online companies require you to work a minimum of something like 10 or 15 hours, but you can kind of say, okay, well, this week I'm available for 40, 50 hours, and you can actually do all those if you'd like. Another big thing is that you can set your own schedule. I know with some big companies, they do require you to work peak hours, which would maybe say, okay, you need to work 7 to 9 in the evening, and then the rest is your choice. But a lot of companies do allow you to set your own schedule as long as you commit to an amount of hours and things like that. And another reason for me is that TEFL, or teaching people English, is actually a really nice way to make an impact on the world or do something good. You know, you're actually teaching people to better themselves, to improve themselves. I've had a couple of experiences where I've had one that I do remember actually is that I taught in a refugee center for a year, which was very interesting, and is another avenue you can go down at some stage in your lives if it interests you. And I remember helping people get their interview skills up, doing business English with their CVs, and a lot of people actually end up getting work and things like that from it, which can be very, very rewarding and a lovely reason to do it. Okay, I'm going to move on now to the number one, or I'd say question is, how do I work online and how do I get a job? If you can pop into the comments there, if anybody, let me know if you're working, if you're not working, are you currently looking for a job? What's, I suppose, your status with teaching English online at the moment? If anybody wants to pop into the, okay, so Grania, you're looking for a job at the moment. I just want to know if anybody here is actually currently with a company, working in software, looking for a change, still doing my course, looking for a job. Okay, interesting. I've been working on 2 different ESL platforms online. That's great. That's what we will find, and as we go on, is that a lot of people work for multiple different companies online. Okay, just started the course, deciding on a course, looking to teach online during the year. Okay, so I think the majority of people here are currently looking to get work online. which I think is fair to say. Okay, so if you to take, if you have, I will be sending you after this with some notes and everything that we covered here. And I mean, as we always say, please feel free to give us a call or an email at any stage if you want to hear more or you have some questions. That option is always there. But if you have a pen and paper now, or if you want to take some notes on your laptop, do, because I'm just going to maybe mention a few companies or a few things that might be of interest to you. But as I said, no need to, if you don't go rushing to find anything. We are always here to help afterwards anyway. Okay, so there are three main ways that you can kind of get started online. We'll look at these three in detail, but the first one is being an employee, okay, of an online company. The second is a freelance worker, and the third is being your own business owner. Okay, the first thing I want to say is that all these three are very attainable, and it doesn't take a long time to get to any of these stages. It just depends on what kind of avenue you want to go down or what you think would suit your lifestyle best. Okay. Okay, so the first one is being an employee. In this option, you sign up with an online teaching school. Okay, so you have to look at this kind of job like any other job in person. Okay, so you're getting a job with a language school, it's just online, meaning they hire you, you sign a contract, you work certain hours, you get fixed pay, and you get fixed hours, like any other contract that you would be working for in a school. An advantage of this type of online is that they provide the material, the curriculum, and all the training. Okay, they're often really, really big companies, and they have everything done for you. So in terms of lesson planning and things like that, it can be very easy and convenient, and there's very little prep involved. And another good advantage, which I would like to add, is how I started at the start, is there's a very good routine. You know, you're going to bed on Sunday evening, and you know you're working Monday to Friday, 9 to 5, or whatever the contract is. You have a good routine and you have your schedule set up, which suits a lot of people who might have family lives or other business lives that would suit them perfectly. The disadvantages of this type of work, or being an employee of an online language school, is that you work scheduled hours and you can't set your own schedule. I think that's fair enough to say. With these ones as well, the pay can vary greatly. You can have people who charge or pay you very little, something like from $5 an hour to $20 an hour. Okay, and there's not much. What I want to say here is there isn't a lot of movement, there isn't much room for kind of negotiating prices and things like that. It kind of is what it is, and until you build up your profile and your experience, like in any other job, you're kind of stuck at that pay scale. And most of these online teaching companies, not all, but 80% of them will require you to have a university degree. Okay, this is the way these online language schools work, because of their accreditation bodies and because of what they require and things along that line, along those lines. So if you're interested and this sounds like a company or a position or a style of teaching that you might like, an example of these type of companies are, I don't know if you've probably heard of them anyway, but VIP Kid, iTutor, Say ABC, what's another one? Dada ABC is another one like that. And top tip about these kind of employers or private language schools is, even though they require a degree, okay, because the demand is so high at the moment, if you don't have a degree and you feel like your other experience might outweigh that, you've good experience or you have good qualifications in another industry, then I think apply for that job, even though it requires a degree. If there's any harm, and there are people at the moment hiring teachers without, say, the full requirements. So it's worth a shot. It's worth a shot sending your CV. I always think that. Okay. I'm just having a look here. Is age an issue to get a contract with an employer? With the language teaching schools, I do know you have to be, for example, I think over 20 or 21 for the online language schools, because again, the accreditation, the strict, the requirements, all those type of things come into play. So I would think that age would come into play with that one. Here, Rory said a university degree or in education or just in general. For online language schools, they'll take a degree in anything. It doesn't have to be in education. It can be in any sector. General degree. Yeah, lovely. Actually, my lovely colleague Emma is online here today as well. If you can see her there, she's helping reply to all the questions as well. I think a lot of you know her as well. Okay, lovely, lovely. Is there an upper age limit? Absolutely not, Garrod, absolutely not. Hi, how are you? So absolutely go ahead and apply. That's a silly question. Would they hire non-native speakers? Yes, Samia, they would, as long as, I think you have to have a degree. But as I said, you know, if you think your profile is good, I always say go for it, because demand right now is unbelievable, and everything is going online. So I really think it's worth a shot. Okay, are you expected to have knowledge of the language in which your students are native to? That's a number one question that people ask. You can you teach English to English. No matter what country you are in the world, you need to know their language. Okay, so I'm going to quickly move on here because it's past already. Okay, so the next type of way to go, or another way of teaching that you can do online, is freelance. Okay, this one I love, because in this option it's kind of half and half. You're kind of half self-employed and you're kind of half working for a company, but it kind of is the best of both worlds. Okay, in this option you teach on an online teaching platform that connects students with teachers. Okay, so you're advertising your service, but they've already set everything up. Okay, they've done the marketing, they've found the students for you. You don't have to go looking for students, you're just advertising your services. So it's like any other online platform where people, you know, similar to eBay, Amazon, all those type of things, that connects students with teachers. The advantages of the freelance kind of platforms is that you can choose your own students, choose your own hours, and you can set your own wage. Okay, so you're advertising yourself. Obviously, as you can imagine, if you're starting out, and the way I started out, I think 2017, is that you're going to start off at quite a bit of a low wage. You don't have much experience, or you mightn't have a degree, or, you know, you're not fully experienced in this industry. You might have to start off with a lower wage. So say, look, I'll do, I'm offering a lesson for $10 an hour at the moment, and then eventually when you get your experience up and you get your student profile, and a lot of these sites will have ratings, so eventually you're going to get a 1-star, 2-star, 3-star, 4-star, and when students see that you have 4 stars or 5 stars, they're going to want to go with you, and then you can start upping, and that's how it works. What I love about this one as well is that you work your own schedule, which is stick in my eyes, because you can kind of do your own thing and kind of move around if you'd like. And it's much easier than finding your own students. It's done for you. The hard work is done in terms of finding students, because that is a lot of work. We will go to the self-employment option, but that is the hardest part of being self-employed, is that, you know, you do have to find your own students and market for your own students. So the beauty of the freelance is that is done for you, and you can kind of charge what you want then. And the disadvantages, I suppose, of a freelance like that is that your income is not always guaranteed. So on Sunday, you don't know if the site's going to be busy that week, if people have decided not to take lessons that week. So your income is not always guaranteed, but I know that's the risk everybody in freelance takes. Okay, and that's something that you kind of have to sacrifice for the higher kind of salary. And I suppose another disadvantage is there's a lot of competition with teachers, because there's going to be 20 other teachers on that platform. So you really have to sell yourself, I suppose, in terms of kind of finding students and things like that. So some companies like that, an example of if you feel like that kind of style of teaching or that kind of platform would suit your lifestyle and suit you, some companies include italki is a big one, TutorMe, Palfish is another big one, and one that I worked with for a full year when I first started teaching out, who I absolutely loved and thought were a great company. They're called Fluentify, And they're fantastic. They're based in Italy, so they're a really good company. Now, the only thing with Fluentify is that they've started to focus more on kind of business English. So if you're somebody here on this webinar who has a really good background in business and is interested in teaching English online, apply to Fluentify. They would love you. Okay, I'm just going to see. Does anybody have any questions on freelancing? Yeah, Emma's throwing in another few companies there for you guys to take down as well. Rory, I'm interested in business English. Can you send a link? Yes, we can send, if you haven't already done the business English course, you can do so. It's a 30-hour business English course, and I can get Becky or Emma to throw in the link in a minute into the chat. Okay, great. And so the last style of teaching that I'm going to move on to is the one that I'm doing right now, is setting up a business online, which might sound a bit daunting, but in truth is actually very, very doable and manageable, and I really enjoy it. So in this option, you build your own online teaching business. You have full control over every aspect of your professional life, and that's why I love it. Now, in my opinion, what I would suggest is maybe getting work with an online language school, either freelance or with a company, for the first 6 months, just so you can kind of get an insider's view of how they run it, so you can kind of see how you would like to run it yourself. Or you could start looking at maybe setting up your business slowly on the side, and then maybe work simultaneously with an online company. But I would do that just so you have an idea of how they do it. Is that the way I would do it? That's the way I wouldn't do something. And it just kind of gives you that view, and it's very handy. Okay, the advantages of this type of style of teaching, I suppose, is you've complete autonomy, your own boss, which is amazing, and higher income because you set your own rates, and people don't question what you charge because it's your own platform. Okay. The disadvantages, there is a bit of a higher startup cost, and there's a bigger income of a bigger risk of income not being guaranteed, like every self-employed business. Okay. So yeah, I can give you an example. My own website, everywhereenglish.eu. If you want to have a look, I set that up by myself in 2017, and I am in no way tech savvy in the slightest, and so it's very doable for everybody. You don't have to be a tech expert or a wizard to do this, or a financial wizard. Okay, it's very, very manageable to do. And as I said, I'm very, very happy to help anybody who wants to go down that route. Give me a call, send me an email, and I'm kind of happy to give you my tips. I did do a webinar, I'd say it's a couple of months ago now, but it is on our YouTube, about setting up your own online company, and I go into detail on that. So if somebody wants to go down that route specifically, search that video on YouTube. Okay. Okay, that's perfect. Does anybody have any questions before I move on kind of setting up your own business? We have one here. I have a TEFL cert and degree. I worked in a general English school for a year, and now I'm freelancing at the moment. Amazing. And I have my own students, but I'm wondering how I pay tax on what I earn. I currently have 10 to 15 hours weekly. Okay, so if you're talking about the Irish government and Irish revenue, you kind of have to declare yourself as self-employed, and it's actually very easy to do, and it's not that much of a charge. But I would just suggest maybe getting in touch with revenue if you want to do it officially from the start, legally and by the books and all that. It's completely okay. It's not too bad at all. But great to hear that you went from that to that. That's amazing. Jenny, I'm wondering about a tax. Okay, so the online teaching company, the first language school, that's normal. They will, as your employers, pay your tax and set you up with tax, all that kind of thing. It goes as normal, as a normal job. If you are working for a freelance company like the ones I mentioned before, like Fluentify or Palfish and those type of things, it's your responsibility to tax yourself and to be careful of that. And it's something they will warn you, or it's something that they will go through with you once you're in your interview process and things like that. But just to be sure and double check it with them. Um, another top tip I will say is with interviews, you will find that, has anybody actually, if you can write in the chat box as well, if anybody is waiting on an interview or has an upcoming interview with any companies. I also did another webinar on preparing for an online interview, which is also on our YouTube channel. But one tip for all online teaching positions, 95% of them, they do require obviously the standard CV, cover letter, all those type of things, but they do require you always to have some type of 1-minute intro video about yourself. So I find this is a really good way to kind of introduce yourself, to show you what you can offer. And what I would always say to people is, even if they don't ask for it at the first stages, send it with your CV and cover letter. Be ahead of the game. Be one step ahead, you know. Say, I'm Kate, I'm applying for this job. Please find attached a video, my introductory video, okay? Because 99% of the times in the second round of interviews, they ask you for this video. So by you showing that initiative, by kind of showing, this is me, guys, notice me. I know you've 70 other applicants, but my video is here and there's that. Okay, so that's just a really good way. And once you have this video done, just be, a personalized video will be in the video, or a general one. Okay, so to save your search, I wouldn't go recording a video for every single company you apply for unless you have the time and the efforts. Definitely make it personalized, but make your life easier. Tailor your CV and cover letter, guys, to online teaching. You know, don't be sending off general ones that you apply to work in an office for. You know, make sure it's personal, and try and generalize the video as much as you can. Just introduce who you are, what background is, and obviously include relevant experience. You don't want to be including that you worked as a fisherman for fun, unless that has something to do with online teaching or something to do with the education sector or being a good person in the classroom. You know, if you can relate it in any way. And what a lot of people don't realize is, you might say, okay, I have no experience at all in the education industry. How the hell am I going to get a job? You know, I've been an accountant for 5 years. How am I going to get, I have no experience. What a lot of people don't realize is you just have to reword your skills and reword what you have done to suit the job. Okay, you know, you might have been an accountant for 5 years, but you've also had a very good relationship with people for 5 years. You know, you've also been very level-headed for 5 years, which might come into teaching. So I always say all experiences is noticeable, and it's good experience if you just kind of tailor it towards the job. And sorry, I'm veering off here. I'm going to go back to the video. Introduce yourself, your background, okay, and what's relevant, what kind of TEFL certificates you have in that, because that's the one thing they really, really look for, and any experience relevant, and why you want to teach English, I suppose, online, why they hire you, you know. Is it a good idea to send a CV or a bio or both? I would send both, a CV, cover letter, and a video. Those 3 things to every single company, and you'll have yourself covered. Okay, I'd always recommend as well, when you're on these online teaching companies, make sure to look for the director of studies. Don't go to whom it may concern. Okay, that just looks lazy. Say you search the director of studies. There's normally the team page or an about us page with all the different titles. Find out who it is, address it to this person, to Michelle, the director of studies. They'll say, oh, this person is serious. This person knows who we are. Okay, this is not another robotic CV being sent to me. So just do your homework, just do your bit of research so you can stand out that bit more. And as I said, if you feel like you're not fully qualified for the job, I would go ahead and apply anyway. You can put in your CV and say, I understand that a degree is required for this job, but you haven't met me yet. You know, something along these lines. There's such a demand for teachers, so don't be afraid to apply for them. Okay. Um, who do we address to the letter to again? So just address if you're emailing to the director of studies. Okay, so if it's an online teaching company or an online language school, they will have a director of studies. If there's no director of studies, look for the HR manager, and you can direct it to that person as well. Yeah. Okay. The next thing I want to say to you guys is one thing. I know a lot of you have TEFL certs. I know a lot of you don't. But the one thing they normally don't hire, to be honest, if you don't have teaching practice, it can look a bit, the person has never taught before. And I know everybody has to start somewhere, so that they take that into account as well. But if you haven't any teaching practice, we do run, and I know some of you are on this already. I can see a couple of you here, which is great. But if you haven't, if you only have your theory course or your online course, we do run a 10-hour virtual TEFL course, which is your official teaching practice certificate. Okay. If you haven't done this, do this. Do it, because number one, it's going to make you a better teacher. Two, you can tell your employer or your potential employer that you have a teaching practice certificate. So not only do you have your 180-hour TEFL course or whatever you have teaching practice done. Okay. And this makes a difference when employing or when applying to jobs. So it's a 10-hour virtual TEFL course. Highly, highly, highly recommend. If you haven't done it, do it. Okay. The next thing I want to say to you is your type of qualification that you have. The standard certificate, or the minimum amount of hours required to become a fully licensed TEFL tutor or to get work online, is 120 hours. Okay, that's what you need. That's the industry standard all over the world. But there are places now, for example, in Dubai and Saudi Arabia, so the Middle East kind of, that are starting to ask for level 5 TEFL certificates. Now, this isn't happening everywhere. 120 hour is still the standard in, for example, Thailand, China, Europe. It's still 120, but there are a couple of places that are starting to kind of say, okay, we're kind of upping now, because even when I started TEFL, there was no such thing as a level 5 TEFL, and now there's a level 5 TEFL. So if you haven't done a course already, I would suggest going level 5. I could just see that the world is going in that way, and they're going to try and make the requirements harder and harder and harder, like in any industry. And as well as that, as I said, if anybody is kind of into business or the corporate world or has a background in kind of industry, there are a lot of companies like Fluentify that will hire you to teach business English. Okay, and to teach business English, you get paid a lot more for it. And exam English, for example, if you go onto my website, you will see that I charge for general English lessons a certain amount, and then I charge business English lessons, I charged exam English for a lot more. If you're licensed in those specialist areas, you can charge a lot more, or you get paid a lot more, and that goes for in the classroom and online. So if you ever get a job at a language school, you get paid more to teach exam classes. All it takes is doing an extra 30-hour special course, like the IELTS or the TOEIC. Okay. I know some of you here have signed up to the 300-hour course, which is basically the most comprehensive course we have, and it covers everything. So that's fantastic. But with those courses as well, if you're applying to a job and you have your general English cert, but you also have business English, IELTS, exam English, all these specialist certs, then you are more than likely going to have a much better chance of getting that job. Okay, you're going to them with your CV, your cover letter, your fantastic intro video, which you're going to be unbelievably friendly in, and you're also going to attach 5 certificates. Okay, you have your general English, but then you also have your business English and your young learner certificate and your IELTS and your TOEIC, and it just kind of maximizes your chances of employment. In my opinion, they're not expensive to do, relatively expensive, so I'd recommend doing them to get more of a chance of getting hired. And not even that, I actually really enjoy doing exam classes because there's a lot less work involved. Well, At the start, when you're learning how to do it, it can be quite difficult. But now, if I do an IELTS exam or a TOEIC exam, I recycle my materials over and over and over and over and over again. So I get paid big money for doing the same thing that I've done a million times over, which will be kind of different to a general exam, because the general exam will always be different. But TOEIC and IELTS are the way to go if you want to make a bit of money. Okay. I think that's a few questions covered. I can see Emma's answering my questions here in the chat. Fantastic. So TOEIC and IELTS are exam classes, which they are. So another thing that I want to say to you as well, guys, is that on our website, we also have an employer verification system. So if you're applying to an employer and sometimes they'll say, we need to verify a certificate, you can just let them know that we actually have a thing on the website where you can put your certificate identifier number in, and it's verified immediately, which is a massive thing when applying to TEFL jobs, because as you know, there's plenty of kind of scam TEFL companies out there, and that's the truth. And a lot of kind of dodgy certificates, if you want to say that. So by having that employer verification, it also kind of gives the employer a bit more of a reason to kind of to take you on and things like that. That is lovely. Okay, we're 22 already. That's perfect. And there is a salary calculator as well on our website, which kind of runs through, you can kind of type in there if you have a degree, if you don't have a degree, what your experience like, and it kind of gives you a rough estimate of what you can earn for teaching English online. So that salary calculator is also on our website, so definitely worth taking a look at that. Okay, that is perfect. What I want to say now is I will leave it open there for a couple of questions if anybody has any questions from anything before. Does the 120-hour qualification allow for teaching business English? The 120-hour qualification is just your general English. That covers the main, like it's 10 modules, and it covers the basics like teaching methods, teaching grammar, teaching pronunciation, and everything you need to be general English teach. The business English course will be a separate 30-hour add-on if you want to be licensed to teach business English. Okay. I have a degree teaching. So Jolanta, I have a degree in teaching and over years experience at schools and teaching Polish as a foreign language. I work in childcare sector in Ireland for 3 years now, and I consider myself a fluent speaker. I'm finishing my TEFL level 5 180 course, but I'm still get the feeling that I have less chance because I'm not native speaker. Well, Jolanta, I'm not going to lie to you. Because you are a non-native speaker, you definitely do have less of a chance, but that's not telling you that you won't get a job. Your qualifications experience tell me here that you're more than qualified to teach English online. So even if you want to get in touch with me tomorrow or send me an email, I can kind of send you a list of companies that I know won't totally go off the fact that you're a non-native speaker, but you will 100% get a job with your qualifications, so don't worry about that. I would maybe try the specialist courses if you haven't done a few of them. Okay. If you've done the 120-hour course, can it be upgraded to the level 5? Oh, I have bad news for you. It can. You'd have to now, of course, you would have a discount on the tuition fees because obviously you've already done a course and part of the student alumni. But unfortunately, because it's a level 5, it's a completely different standard and you have to do all the modules again. So it would mean going back to the start and doing it more. Now, in saying that, it's a fantastic course. I see no harm in doing another one. I know it's a bit, I suppose, time consuming, but it's really different. The level 5 has a lot more podcasts, a lot more videos. It's a lot more engaging and interactive. So you might actually enjoy it. But yeah, unfortunately, you do have to go back and do the level 5 again. When applying for real classroom jobs, will the virtual course cover the practical elements they would look for? Yes. You have your official teaching practice certificate, so yes. Are there any websites that help with lesson planning? Yes, a couple of websites for lesson planning, which I don't have now on me, but the ones I can think off the top of my head. Perfect English Grammar is a great one. Film English is another one. We have a lesson planning guide as well that you can download on the website, which is very helpful to kind of help you with your lesson planning. But John, if you can't, I think get on to me tomorrow and I will have those websites for you in detail. I just don't have them off the top of my head now. Okay, Callum, if I've done the 120-hour course, the online teaching course and the Young Learners course, would I need to redo them if I bought, say, the 240-hour course? No. What I would do in that case, Callum, is just add on the specialist course separately. I wouldn't go buying the 240-hour because that already includes the 120. So I would just go for the separate, do the 30 hours separately. Should you start general English before you start with business or exam English? Yes, you don't do, but I would advise that you become confident in teaching general English first, unless you're really confident in that area. But I would kind of start off with general English, get a feel for it, learn the methodology, so learn teaching and all those type of things, and then off into that niche. Okay, now I advise doing the business English so you get hired more, but I would start off with general English. How do you prove that you're a native speaker? We do have an English level test that you do to show your level. But if you mean in terms of actually applying to companies, they often kind of require you to do an IELTS course or to have a Cambridge course. But if you do the TEFL certificate with us, that proves your level of English. So you don't actually have to do an IELTS or anything like that. By doing the TEFL, obviously that proves that you have a very good level of English. Okay, we have someone here. I'm a non-native and I got a job in Kuwait. That's fantastic, Julia. Could we get your email for questions later? Yes, I think my email is on my virtual background. I'm trying to be all really professional today with my virtual background, but I think it's showing there. I don't know if you can see it, but that's it there. But I can throw it into the chat anyway, and you feel free to email me. Okay, is Magic Ears really just for people from the USA and Canada? Yes, that's what they advertise. And Magic Ears is actually a very well-paid company. But again, as I said, I would chance going for them. They say that they want USA and Canadian kind of accents, but 100% go ahead and apply because there's such a big demand, and I'm sure to take your application. So I would. Can we? Okay, I don't know. Am I skipping questions here? Level 5 can be updated to higher. Julia, I'm not sure what you mean there. In that level 5, the highest it is, and if that's the case, then yes, is the answer to that. Okay. Is it possible to get in touch for further questions? And if so, yeah. So my email is there, on the background there. And will it be possible to watch this webinar? You're recording it. We'll have it uploaded to YouTube within 24 hours. Okay. I have a level 8 in business and currently have the TEFL course. Would I still need to do the TEFL business? Yes. It's because it's the business course that actually kind of teaches you how to teach the business. So you have a business degree, it's about teaching the business knowledge that you already know, which sounds kind of funny, but yes, I would do that course. Leaving cert, it depends. It depends. For the online teaching companies, I would say that you do need. Now, not all companies always check this requirement, and if you have a TEFL course, that's higher level than that. If you have the level 5, it's higher, so you wouldn't need it in terms of because that would be a much higher level of education. Does having dyslexia or dyspraxia hurt your chances of getting a job teaching online? Absolutely not. It's the same as anything. In my opinion, I don't think you need to mention it because I don't think that hinders anybody. So no, my answer is no, it does not hinder you. Do you need to have a leaving certificate before you start the courses? No, you can jump straight into them. You don't need to have a leaving cert to do them. There's so many questions, it's fantastic. I know some companies require you to commit to a certain amount of hours per week. Is there any way to ensure I can make over a certain amount per month and safely come off? Okay. So what I would do is I wouldn't give up your fob or whatever you're doing at the minute now, Emily, and slowly get into it so you build up your hours. If you really want that security and you're kind of worried, I would go for the online teaching school kind of route. See if you can get a job with them first so you're guaranteed hours. But don't forget, guys, as well as there's really so many avenues, not even English on once this whole COVID thing is over, please God. There's so many things you can be doing, like privately tutoring, Spanish students coming in here, language schools, language centres, resource things in primary schools. There's so many more avenues of this, so don't feel like this is your one stop with TEFL. Okay. Okay. Sorry, there's so many messages. Can somebody who has done, okay, we had that one. Are we better off doing the level 5 for more opportunities? Yes, for sure. Has the pandemic had an effect on the amount of work that is out there? Yes, actually, in this industry, which I'm very, very happy to say that it only has increased the demand for teachers online. So if anything, it's the best time to get work right now. Can you recommend websites for lesson plans? As you said, Emma put a couple in there as well, like Film English and things like that. I don't have them on hand right now, but I will. And the last thing I want to say to you guys today is thank you so much for listening. I really appreciate it. And that myself, Emma and Becky were all on here today and we all work with the TEFL Institute of Ireland. We are more than happy. Please, please, please call us, email us, ring in. We are more than happy to help you guys get work online. Obviously, we can't guarantee it, but we will really try. And if you are interested in doing any of the talk about as well, I am very happy to give you, even though at the moment we're not giving, there's no discount on the January sale prices, very happy to give you, anybody who attended the webinar here, an extra 10% off any course that they want to do. And you can just use the code, I'll get Emma or to the chat there. It's just going to be webinar Kate 10, and it just means that you can get 10% off any course that you decide to enroll on. Yeah. If you do decide to sign up to a course, or if you enjoyed this webinar today, guys, I would be forever grateful if you could leave us a lovely review. I know people hate writing reviews, and it can be a bit of a pain sometimes, I get it, but we would be more than happy, more than grateful if you wouldn't mind leaving us a review on the link that Emma sent in there. And you can mention that it was fantastic. Feel free, and yeah, that would be great. We're trying to get the word out there about our free webinars, especially during lockdown, and we run webinars all the time, so have a look at our other ones. I think the next few ones we have upcoming are teaching in France, because we have a France internship opening up if anybody's interested, and we also have a webinar coming up about teaching in Asia in 2021 if anybody has kind of interest in Asia. So check those out. Check out our YouTube channel. We've done previous webinars on all different topics. And you say, Jesus, does she ever stop doing webinars? But no, I don't. So thank you very much again, guys. Leave us a review, please. And if you want to sign up to any course, call us tomorrow, call us this evening, and we can help you. So yeah, thanks very much, everybody. And we really appreciate it. If you had any question that wasn't answered, email us in. Okay. Thank you very much, guys, and thank you so much for listening.